Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We're getting into minimalism today.
Ooh, fun.
But not just the Instagram aesthetic, you know. We're really going to explore it.
Right.
As a philosophy and how people actually live it.
Yeah, way of life.
And we've got this transcript of a film
Okay.
to kind of be our guide.
I like it.
So it'll be like...
How behind the scenes look.
Yeah, exactly. Like a backstage pass to minimalism.
Nice.
So you guys will basically get...
A crash course.
Yeah, where'd this whole thing even come from? What are the main ideas? And how does it actually affect people's lives?
Good stuff.
All without having to watch the source material.
Perfect.
So one thing that really struck me right away was how they start with these people who are super successful.
Okay.
On paper, at least.
Right.
You know, the big salaries, the corner offices.
Fancy cars.
All that, but they still felt...
Empty.
Yeah. Like something was missing.
Classic, right. That disconnect between what you achieve
and how fulfilled you actually feel.
Yeah, and it made me think, I'm sure we've all felt that.
Oh, for sure.
At some point.
Yes.
You're supposed to be happy because...
You have all the things.
Right. But it is is it really it?
No, not always.
And the film really dives into, the history of the American dream and how its definition has become so...
materialistic.
Yeah. It's all about the stuff.
More.
Okay, so this fact blew my mind.
Yeah, me.
We have 3 times the space per person than in the 1950s.
Wow.
But there's also a booming storage industry.
So we have more space.
Yeah.
But we need even more space.
Exactly. We just keep buying and storing and needing more storage.
It's crazy, right?
It's like this endless cycle.
And not a very sustainable one.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what I found really interesting?
What's that?
The personal stories in the film.
Oh, yeah.
These people who are okay, I'm done with all this stuff.
Yeah. And they drastically downsized.
Wow.
Some were living in tiny houses.
I've seen those.
Others were even nomadic.
What?
Yeah. Only owning what fit in a backpack.
That's wild.
It really makes you question
everything.
Yeah, what do we actually need to be happy?
Right.
What really defines success?
Good questions.
So the film doesn't just show us these stories.
Okay.
It really digs into the why.
The psychology of it all.
Yeah. Why are we so obsessed with stuff?
Mm-hmm.
They have actual neuroscientists explaining.
No way.
Yeah. How advertising, fast fashion, and our own brains keep us wanting more and more.
Even when it doesn't make us happy.
Right. Exactly.
One expert called it a
dopamine treadmill.
Yes. That's it.
You get a little hit of pleasure from buying something, but then you need to buy even more.
To get that same feeling.
Exactly.
Oh, and they mentioned this stat that kind of freaked me out.
Lay it on me.
The average person checks their phone 150 times a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know, right?
It makes you think.
Yeah, can we even be content?
With all those distractions.
Exactly. We're constantly bombarded.
With information.
Yeah, and notifications.
It's overwhelming.
Which brings us to...
mindfulness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the film doesn't just, throw that word around.
Right.
They show people using things like meditation.
Okay.
To break free from the mental clutter.
That makes sense.
And find peace in the moment.
I like that.
There's this one story about a journalist who had a panic attack.
Oh, no.
Yeah, on live TV.
Yikes.
But he found that meditation helped him regain
control.
Yeah, and focus, even in that high-pressure environment.
That's pretty amazing.
It's minimalism isn't just this abstract concept.
Yeah.
It has real-world applications.
Yeah, for sure.
To help people cope with stress, find purpose, and connect more deeply with themselves and others.
That's beautiful.
And speaking of connection, I think it's easy to think of minimalism as...
a solo thing.
Yeah, for single people.
Right.
But the film shows couples and families who've made it work for them.
Interesting.
So it's not just for, lone wolves.
Right. It can work in all kinds of relationships.
Exactly. And it's not about forcing everyone...
to get rid of everything.
Yeah, it's about finding what works.
For each situation.
For each family.
Exactly.
This is one family who decided to focus on experiences instead of gifts.
Nice.
So, instead of a ton of presents for holidays, they would plan...
a trip.
Yeah, or some other kind of shared experience.
I love that.
And they said that it...
brought them closer together.
Yeah, more than any pile of presents ever could.
Wow, that's powerful.
Right. It really makes you think about...
what we prioritize.
Exactly.
How we define...
success.
Yeah.
And happiness.
And this is a big one. minimalism isn't about deprivation.
Ooh, good point.
It's about
intentionality.
Yeah. It's about choosing to fill your life with what matters most.
Whether that's experiences,
relationships,
creative pursuits, whatever.
Right. It's your life.
And there's this quote from the film.
Okay, I like quotes.
It says, "Love people and use things because the opposite never works."
Wow, that's good.
I know, right?
It's so simple.
But it's like the perfect summary
of the whole philosophy.
Yeah. And it makes you think, like, if you could redesign your ideal life.
Okay, yeah.
What would be at the core?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right. Would it be stuff?
Or something deeper?
Yeah, something more aligned with, like,
your values.
Yeah, your values and who you really are.
Exactly.
It's funny you mentioned, like, redesigning your ideal life because they talk about creativity in the film.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, wait, minimalism and creativity.
I wouldn't have put those two together.
Me neither. But they actually make a really compelling case.
For how?
Like getting rid of clutter.
Yeah.
Both physical and mental.
Can boost your creativity.
Oh, wow.
They interviewed all sorts of people.
Like who?
Artists, writers, entrepreneurs.
Interesting.
Who all said that minimalism changed their work for the better.
Huh.
There was this one musician who got rid of a bunch of his instruments.
Oh, wow.
And recording equipment.
Okay.
And he said it actually helped his songwriting.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He realized that having too many options.
Too much stuff.
Was actually blocking his creativity.
That makes sense.
It's like that saying.
Oh, which one?
Perfection is achieved not when there's nothing more to add.
Okay.
But when there's nothing left to take away.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
So
and it's not just about physical stuff, right?
No, totally.
It's like our mental space, too.
Exactly.
All those to-do lists, the constant information overload.
It's a creativity killer.
For sure.
So the film talks about meditation again, not just for stress.
But for focus.
Yeah. To cultivate a calmer mind that's more open to new ideas.
And they talk to business owners, too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Minimalist principles helped them in their work.
To be more creative.
Yeah, more innovative.
Okay.
One guy described it as stripping away the fart to reveal the muscle.
Ooh, I like that.
Of his business.
So it's like less about doing less.
Right.
And more about doing the right things.
Exactly. Prioritize.
Focusing on what matters.
Which brings us to
what?
The potential downsides of minimalism.
Okay, there's got to be some, right?
It's not all perfect.
Yeah.
Like, they talk about how easily it can become.
Another form of consumerism.
Yes. That's the worst.
It's like suddenly you need the minimalist version of everything.
The perfectly designed.
Yeah, and it's all expensive.
Like, hello, that defeats the purpose.
Exactly. Minimalism shouldn't be about buying more stuff.
It's about aligning your life with your values.
Your values, not someone else's.
Exactly.
Or some, like, Instagram aesthetic.
So true.
It's about asking yourself, does this thing truly serve me?
Good question.
Or am I just buying into the hype?
It's easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah, especially with all the marketing and stuff.
And then there's the social pressure.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Not everyone gets it.
Right. People might think you're weird.
Or extreme.
Especially if they value material possessions.
Yeah, it can be tough.
To navigate those different perspectives.
For sure.
It's like, how do you explain it?
Well, the film doesn't give easy answers.
Okay.
But they encourage you to have those conversations with empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah, and understanding.
Okay.
Explain your choices, share your motivations, but ultimately respect each other's differences.
Right. You're not going to convert everyone.
Exactly. And that's okay.
It makes me think about how we define success so narrowly.
It's always the same thing.
The big house, the fancy car, the designer clothes.
The stuff.
Yeah, the stuff.
And the film really challenges those assumptions.
It does, which is refreshing.
But they also acknowledge something important.
What's that?
Privilege.
Oh, right.
Like, they admit that some aspects of minimalism, like downsizing your home or traveling for long periods, are easier for people with money.
Definitely. Not everyone can just sell all their stuff.
And hit the road.
Right.
But the core principles, being mindful about what you consume, focusing on experiences, defining success on your own terms, those are valuable for everyone.
Regardless of your situation.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to incorporate those principles
into your own life.
Yeah, however that looks for you.
Because minimalism is a journey, not a destination.
Ooh, I like that.
And it looks different for everyone.
That's so true.
It's about finding what works for you.
And using it as a tool.
A tool for what?
To create a life that feels more aligned with your values and your aspirations.
I like that. Minimalism as a tool.
It's powerful.
Because it can create change.
Yeah, big change.
In our personal lives.
For sure.
But also in the world.
It can ripple outwards.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, the film talks about how minimalism can lead to a more fulfilling work life.
Ooh, interesting. A lot of people are unhappy with their jobs.
That's true.
So maybe minimalism can help.
They interviewed people who completely transformed their careers.
Wow. Like how?
Some downsized to less demanding jobs to have more flexibility.
Makes sense.
Others started their own businesses.
Oh, cool.
So they could live more intentionally.
So it's about breaking free from that
work-consume cycle.
Yeah. We're always told to work more, to buy more.
It's a trap.
And minimalism offers a way out.
Exactly. It encourages you to ask yourself.
Okay, what questions?
Does my current work align with my values?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And am I spending my time and energy on things that truly matter?
Wow, those are tough questions.
But important ones.
Yeah, it's about finding work that
contributes to your well-being.
Not just your bank account.
That's right.
It's about purpose.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the physical stuff.
Right.
The mental clutter.
Yeah.
But what about the emotional side of minimalism?
Oh, that's huge.
Right. Letting go of things can be hard.
Emotionally charged.
For sure.
The film talks about the feelings that come up.
Like what?
Guilt.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of regret. The sentimental value we attach to objects.
It's not always easy to just get rid of things.
It can bring up a lot of stuff.
So what do they suggest?
Well, they have some good advice for navigating those emotions.
I'm listening.
Like taking photos of sentimental items before letting them go.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or writing down the memories associated with them.
To preserve the meaning without keeping the object.
Exactly.
About that.
And they really emphasize being patient.
Okay.
And compassionate with yourself.
Yeah, it's a process.
Letting go takes time.
You can't rush it.
It's not about forcing yourself.
It's about honoring your feelings. It strikes me that minimalism is about creating space.
Space for what?
In our homes, in our minds, in our hearts.
Beautiful.
For the things that truly matter.
That's the essence of it.
And speaking of things that matter.
Okay.
The film talks about community.
Oh, interesting.
Which I thought was cool.
I wouldn't have thought of minimalism as a community thing.
Me neither. But they show how it's not just a solo pursuit.
Right.
It's a whole movement.
A movement towards what?
A more intentional life.
Okay.
And it's bringing people together.
Around shared values.
Yeah.
They show online communities, meetups, workshops.
So people can connect.
Share experiences.
Yeah, and support each other.
It makes sense. Having that community can be really helpful.
Especially when you're facing challenges.
Or feeling alone in your choices.
Yeah, because not everyone understands minimalism.
It can be hard to explain.
But when you find people who get it.
It's validating.
Yeah, and empowering.
It's like you're part of something bigger.
It speaks to that human need for connection.
Totally. We're social creatures.
We thrive when we feel like we belong.
Exactly.
So, big question.
Hit me.
Is minimalism just a trend?
Ooh, good one.
Or is it a lasting movement?
They interview experts with different opinions.
Oh, that's interesting.
Some think it's a fad.
Okay.
Fueled by social media.
Like just for the aesthetic.
Yeah, but others argue it's a response to...
So what?
The excesses of modern life.
Makes sense.
Like, it's a deeper shift in values.
A rejection of consumerism.
Right, it's about wanting something more meaningful.
It makes you think.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it just about stuff?
Or is it something bigger?
About how we want to live our lives.
And even if the popularity fades...
Okay.
The core principles are likely to stick around.
Like what principles?
Mindful consumption, intentionality, living in alignment with your values.
Those are timeless.
Exactly.
It's like every generation searches for meaning.
And
maybe minimalism is just one expression of that.
A way of finding what truly matters.
In a world that's constantly trying to distract us. With stuff.
And it resonates with people.
Because it speaks to that.
Desire for a simpler life.
Yeah, more intentional life.
A life that's less about material possessions.
And more about...
what nourishes our souls.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what?
What?
The film doesn't just leave us with these big ideas.
Right.
They actually give practical tips.
Ooh, I like practical tips.
For embracing a more minimalist lifestyle.
Yes. Let's hear them.
One recurring theme is to start small.
Okay.
Don't try to do everything at once.
That's good advice.
Choose one area to focus on.
Like what?
A closet, a drawer, a specific category of possessions.
Makes it less overwhelming.
Right, baby steps.
And they talk about the language we use.
Oh, interesting.
When decluttering.
Okay.
Like instead of focusing on what you're getting rid of, think about what you're gaining.
That's a good shift in perspective.
Yeah, it's about the positive.
Space, time, freedom, clarity.
All good things.
And be patient.
Always good advice.
And compassionate with yourself.
Letting go can be tough.
It's a process.
It's not a race.
And they encourage you to experiment.
With what?
Different decluttering methods.
Okay.
Find what works best for you.
Some people like to do it gradually.
Right, a little bit at a time.
Others prefer to tackle a big project all at once.
The key is to find what you can stick with.
What feels sustainable.
Exactly.
And they also suggest involving friends or family.
Oh, that's smart.
For support and encouragement.
Yeah, and a fresh perspective.
Sometimes you need someone else to help you see things clearly.
Especially when you're feeling stuck.
Yeah, or overwhelmed.
It's good to have a helping hand.
One thing that really stood out to me was the connection between minimalism and finances.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It makes sense, right?
Like
spending more money for your goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They interviewed people who used minimalism to improve their financial lives.
Okay.
Some downsized their homes.
Okay.
Others cut back on unnecessary expenses.
Makes sense.
Some created budgets that aligned with their values.
So it's about being more conscious.
With your money.
Yeah, and where it's going.
They talked about less financial stress.
Okay.
Increased savings.
Right.
A greater sense of control.
So minimalism can help with that?
It can bring clarity.
Not just about your stuff.
But about your finances, too.
Which can be super empowering.
Totally.
It's like you're taking back control.
Of your life.
Yeah. And the film encourages you to look at your spending habits.
Okay.
Identify areas where you can cut back.
Without sacrificing your quality of life.
Right. It's not about deprivation.
It's about being mindful.
And they talk about emotional triggers that can lead to overspending.
Like stress or boredom.
Yeah, or keeping up with the Joneses.
It's easy to fall into those traps.
We're always told to buy more to be happy.
It's a lie.
And the film shows people who found happiness.
Okay, how?
Through experiences, not possessions.
That's what they call experiential minimalism.
I like that.
It's about creating memories.
Yeah.
Traveling, having adventures, spending time with loved ones.
It's good at buying stuff.
Exactly. And they say those experiences bring more joy
than any material possession.
Because stuff is fleeting.
Right.
But memories stay with you.
They shape who we are.
And how we view the world.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It's about being present and savoring those moments that truly matter.
Because in the end, it's not the things we own
that define us.
It's the lives we live.
And the connections we make.
Exactly. And, the film also touches on a more spiritual side of minimalism.
Oh, interesting.
Like how simplifying your life can help you connect with
core values.
Yeah, and live more authentically.
They interviewed people from different spiritual backgrounds who talked about how letting go of material attachments helped them focus on their spiritual growth.
Makes sense.
And find deeper meaning in their lives.
It's like clearing away the distractions.
To connect with something bigger.
To connect with yourself.
Exactly.
Your purpose.
And the film makes it clear.
What's that?
Minimalism isn't about denying yourself pleasure.
Okay.
Or joy.
It's about balance.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot.
Between enjoying the material world.
Without letting it define you.
Without becoming attached to it.
Exactly.
So it's a tool for personal growth.
It can help you examine your beliefs.
Identify your passions.
And create a life that feels more true to yourself.
That's powerful.
It's about decluttering. Not just your home.
Yeah.
But your mind, your heart, your soul.
To make space for what truly nourishes you.
For what brings you joy.
And that brings us to another important theme.
Okay, what is it?
Gratitude.
Oh, I love that.
The film argues that minimalism can help us appreciate
what we already have.
Exactly. Both materially and experientially.
They interviewed people who talked about how simplifying their lives made them more grateful for the simple things.
Like what?
The people they love.
Okay.
The experiences they have. The beauty of nature.
Those are the things that matter.
Exactly. It's like by removing the excess,
yeah,
we can see more clearly what's important.
And appreciate the abundance that's already there.
Right. Instead of always wanting more.
We can focus on what we have.
And that shift in perspective
can make us feel more
abundant and fulfilled.
It's like an antidote to consumerism.
That's a great way to put it.
It's a reminder to slow down.
Appreciate the present moment.
Find joy in the simple things.
And speaking of letting go.
Okay. Of what?
The film talks about sentimental items.
Ah, those are tough.
The things that hold memories.
Yeah, emotional significance.
It's hard to part with those.
Because they represent more than just the object.
Right. They're tied to our past.
To our identity.
But the film encourages us to think about it differently.
Okay, how?
To view sentimental items.
Okay.
Not as physical objects.
But as what? As vessels for memories and emotions. And those memories and emotions reside within us.
Not in the objects.
Exactly.
So we can cherish those memories.
Without holding on to the stuff.
They offer some tips.
Like what?
Taking photos of the items.
Okay.
Writing down the memories.
Yeah. Creating a memory box for a few special items.
To honor the meaning without the physical clutter.
Right.
And they talk about the burden that sentimental items can carry.
Oh, yeah.
If it's causing more stress than joy, maybe it's time to let go.
It's about creating a lighter life.
A freer life.
A life that's aligned with your values.
It's even sentimental items.
Can sometimes hold us back.
It's about focusing on the positive emotions.
Not the physical objects.
And they talk about digital minimalism, too.
Oh, that's important these days.
Right. We're all so connected to our devices.
It can be overwhelming.
The constant information, the notifications. And the film talks about how that constant connection can create a sense of distraction, disconnect.
From the present moment.
They interviewed people who practiced digital minimalism.
Oh, cool. What did they do?
Things like setting limits on screen time.
Okay.
Turning off notifications. Creating tech-free zones in their homes.
Interesting.
And they found that it helped them.
To what?
To reclaim their time and attention.
Okay.
To focus on relationships and passions.
And to feel
peaceful and present.
Exactly. So the film encourages you to...
To what?
To identify the apps and devices that truly add value.
Okay.
And set boundaries around your tech use.
Like maybe have a digital detox day.
Yeah. A day or a weekend off from screens.
That sounds amazing.
It can be so refreshing.
To unplug and reconnect with the real world.
Exactly. It's about seeing technology.
As a tool.
Not a master.
Using it to enhance our lives.
Not to control them.
That's a good reminder.
And the film takes it even further.
Okay, where do they go?
To the societal implications of minimalism.
Ooh, that's interesting. They're connecting it to bigger issues.
It's not just a personal choice.
Okay.
It's a movement that could transform our culture.
Wow.
And our relationship with the planet.
Okay, how?
Well, they challenge consumerism,
right,
which drives so much of our economy.
Right.
And they see minimalism as a path towards a more sustainable and equitable future.
That's a big vision.
They talk about how our consumption habits are connected to social justice issues.
Like what?
Exploitation of workers.
Okay.
Environmental degradation. Economic disparities.
It's all connected.
Our choices have ripple effects.
That extend beyond our own lives.
Exactly.
And the film encourages us to be mindful of those effects.
And to support companies and organizations that are working to create a better world.
A more just world.
A more sustainable world.
So minimalism could play a role in addressing
some of the big challenges we face.
Like climate change.
Yeah.
Income inequality.
The depletion of natural resources.
By consuming less. Prioritizing experiences over possessions. Focusing on what truly matters.
We can create a more balanced and sustainable way of life.
For ourselves and for future generations.
It's a powerful message.
It makes you feel like part of something bigger.
Than just yourself.
Yeah, like a movement towards a more conscious world.
A more compassionate world.
And the film also talks about the impact on mental health.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
We all experience stress and anxiety.
From clutter, overcommitment, social pressure.
It's exhausting.
And the film interviews people who found relief.
Relief from what?
From stress, anxiety, even depression.
Through minimalism.
After adopting a minimalist lifestyle.
So simplifying your external world.
Can create space for peace in your internal world.
That makes sense.
They talk about prioritizing self-care, cultivating gratitude.
Focusing on the present moment.
All those things that contribute to well-being.
And minimalism can support those practices.
It's not a cure-all.
Right.
But it can be a valuable tool.
A tool for creating a more peaceful life.
A more balanced life.
And they emphasize that it's not one size fits all.
Oh, definitely not.
What works for one person
might not work for another.
It's about finding your own balance.
Creating a lifestyle that feels authentic to you.
To your values.
No need for perfection.
Or rigid rules.
Just mindfulness and intention.
Focusing on what truly matters. It's a journey.
With ups and downs.
Be kind to yourself along the way.
Celebrate the progress you make.
It's a message of hope.
And empowerment.
We have the power to create the lives we want.
Lives that feel meaningful.
Aligned with our values.
That's a good note to end on.
It's funny, right? We've been talking about minimalism.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to get caught up in
the practical stuff.
Yeah, like all the tips.
Your decluttering methods.
The capsule wardrobes.
Love that.
But this film really digs into like...
The what? Yeah.
The deeper stuff.
Like, why do you even want to simplify your life?
What are you hoping to get out of it?
It's more than just getting rid of stuff.
Exactly. And by asking that why question, the film gets into some really fascinating territory.
Like what?
Like our psychology.
Oh.
Why we get attached to things. The societal pressures that make us want certain things.
It's all connected.
And how we define success and happiness.
Like, what do those words even mean?
Right. And one of the experts in the film called it like...
emotional archaeology.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that.
It's like we're digging through all these layers
of our stuff and our habits
to uncover the beliefs and values.
They're driving our choices.
It's deep, man.
It is.
So it's not just about physical clutter.
Right.
It's about mental and emotional clutter, too.
The stuff we hold on to in our minds.
Yeah, the limiting belief.
Figures.
The anxieties.
But they keep us stuck.
And the film acknowledges that that letting go can be...
hard.
Yeah, really hard.
Especially when we've been told that more is always better.
It's like programmed into us.
They talk about the fear of regret.
Oh, yeah.
The guilt.
Feeling bad about getting rid of things.
Even if you don't need them.
The sentimental value.
It's not easy to just toss things aside.
It can be a really emotional process.
For sure.
Which is why they emphasize self-compassion.
Well, that's important.
It's okay to feel those emotions.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Be gentle with yourself.
There's this one scene
Okay.
where this woman is struggling to let go of a dress
Okay.
her mother gave her.
Oh, wow.
And it's clearly more than just a dress to her.
It represents something deeper.
Yeah, like a whole history.
Of memories and emotions.
And the experts offer some
insight.
Yeah, some strategies.
Like what?
Like reframing your thinking.
Okay.
Focusing on the positive aspects of letting go. Practicing gratitude for the experiences you had with those objects.
That's good.
One expert said,
okay,
the goal isn't to erase the past, but to create space for the present and the future.
Wow, I like that.
It's about honoring those memories without being weighed down.
By the physical stuff.
Which brings us to happiness and fulfillment.
The big questions.
Right. And the film challenges this idea.
That happiness comes from things.
Yeah, from possessions.
Status, achievements.
They're saying true fulfillment comes from...
aligning your life with your values.
Doing things that bring you joy and meaning.
Not the things you're told to want.
Not the things you actually want.
Figure out what lights you up.
Make space for that.
And they show people who've done that.
Yeah.
Finding happiness through simple living, connections, creative pursuits.
Things that matter.
Things that go beyond material possessions.
And it's empowering.
Because it reminds us
that we have the power.
To define happiness for ourselves.
It's not up to anyone else.
And they talk about success, too.
Oh, yeah. How do they define success?
Well, they challenge the usual markers.
Like wealth and status.
The fancy car, the big house.
All that.
They're saying true success is about the quality of your relationships, your contributions to the world, your alignment with your values.
So it's not about what you have.
It's about who you are.
How you live your life.
They interview people who have redefined success.
On their own terms.
Yeah, they're doing things that bring them joy and purpose.
Even if it doesn't fit the mold.
The traditional mold.
And that's inspiring.
Especially for anyone who feels like they're not measuring up
to society's expectations.
It's like, forget about what you're supposed to be doing.
Do what makes you feel alive.
And what makes you feel engaged.
Use minimalism as a tool.
To create a life that's authentic and meaningful.
And then they get into how to apply minimalism to specific areas.
Oh, like what?
Relationships, parenting, work, finances, technology.
It's a whole life approach.
Taking those principles
applying them
to every part of your life.
To create a more holistic sense of well-being.
And the examples are really inspiring.
Like what?
Couples using minimalism to strengthen their bond. Parents raising their kids with a focus on experiences and values.
Interesting.
People finding more fulfilling careers.
By aligning their work with their passions.
There's this one story about a family who simplified their holidays.
Okay.
Instead of all the gifts, they planned a family trip.
Oh, nice.
To a national park.
I love that.
The kids were bummed at first.
No presents.
But they ended up having an amazing time.
Creating memories.
That they still talk about.
That's what matters.
It's about shifting our focus.
From things.
To experiences and connections.
That bring lasting joy.
Because sometimes the best gifts
aren't material things.
And this brings up a big theme.
What's that?
Minimalism isn't about deprivation.
Oh, good point.
It's about abundance.
Okay, how so?
It's about recognizing the abundance that's already there.
In our lives.
The love, the connections, the beauty, the simple joys.
We just have to make space to see it.
Yeah, by letting go of the excess.
We can appreciate what truly matters.
And cultivate gratitude.
Gratitude is key.
It's the antidote to that feeling of wanting more.
Of never being satisfied.
By focusing on what we have,
we can shift our perspective.
And create a more fulfilling life.
It's like a secret formula.
Okay, I'm listening.
Simplify your life.
Okay.
Focus on what matters. Cultivate gratitude.
And then?
Watch the joy unfold.
That's pretty good.
It's a recipe for a meaningful life.
And anyone can use it.
You don't need to be rich.
You don't need a perfect minimalist home.
It's about making small changes.
One step at a time.
Finding what works for you.
It's a journey.
Not a destination.
Be kind to yourself.
Celebrate your progress.
It's about hope and empowerment.
We have the power to create the lives we want.
Lives that feel authentic and meaningful.
Aligned with our values.
That's a great message.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into minimalism,
I want to ask you, the listener,
a final question.
What resonated with you most from our conversation?
What sparked your curiosity?
What inspired you?
Maybe you're thinking about making a change in your own life.
Big or small.
Remember, minimalism is a framework.
Not a set of rules.
Find what works for you.
Create a life that feels intentional.
Fulfilling.
Aligned with your truest self.
That's a journey worth taking.
One mindful step at a time.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.